Hello everyone, welcome back to the second class of heat exchangers, fundamentals and design analysis. In the first class, we have got some idea regarding heat exchangers and we also tried to see that how the concept of heat exchanger evolved in the very dawn of civilization, when people have invented fire and started learning cooking. So, that is what we have seen. And then of course, over the years there have been a lot of change and heat exchanger has now become such a important industrial equipment. So, we will see more of it. In this present lecture, we want to see the application of heat exchanger. We have to understand why we should study heat exchanger, what is its importance, and that is why I like to give some application of heat exchanger to you. And then we probably towards the end of this particular lecture, we will try to see how heat exchangers can be classified. Heat exchangers serve different purposes, but if I see that what are the main purposes served by heat exchanger? First point is control of temperature for process requirement and product quality. Let me explain it little bit. It is like this, that temperature control is important for many cases. For that matter, where I am delivering this lecture, this room is air conditioned. So, in this room the temperature of the room is maintained within certain level, so that the person who will be occupying this room, they will feel comfortable. So, due to some sort of a process, we have to maintain the temperature in this room. Similarly, suppose we are making some sort of metallurgical product and either it has to be heated or cooled, because we need certain attribute of the product, certain property of the product. So, temperature control is very important and heat exchanger often plays a very important role in controlling temperature. Then comes conservation of energy. In this also the conversion of energy should be included, that when we have some sort of energy conversion process, so then heat exchanger is essential. Examples are many, but if we think of that how we are generating most of the power. Most of the power in the modern age, it is being generated from fossil fuel source. That means, the chemical energy is converted into thermal energy and then from the thermal energy we are getting mechanical energy or electrical energy. So, the chemical energy that is getting converted into thermal energy, some sort of combustion process is involved, and we will see at each and every step we have got number of heat exchangers. If we think of a power plant, I mean how many different varieties of heat exchangers you can expect to see. It is better to give some time and think that how many different varieties of heat exchanger you may expect in a power plant. Then protection of environment. Actually, these two points goes hand in hand. Conversion of energy, in certain cases it is essential to use a heat exchanger, but during the conversion what we do, we waste a good amount of thermal energy and we waste also energy in different form. Using heat exchanger, these can be reduced, these wastes can be reduced, and reduction of any waste is a gain. So, when we are stopping the waste or reducing the waste of thermal energy, so what we are doing? We are protecting the environment. Apart from that, there are direct action by which environment can be protected, and obviously heat exchanger plays a very important role. The 3 points which I have told, they may not cover all the aspects why a heat exchanger is to be used, but they give some main aspect why heat exchanger, or rather what is the purpose of using heat exchanger. Accordingly, the application of heat exchanger can be identified in three broad categories. Again, there could be controversy, people may say that there are other areas, but what we think are important, that is in the industrial sector, that is the main use of heat exchanger, many varieties of heat exchanger will be used, and then health services, there will be large number of heat exchangers, and in domestic, obviously in our day to day life we need heat exchanger for our comfort, for some unique processing, for our survival. So, we need heat exchanger. Obviously, when I talk survival, the room heating, the importance of room heating in cold countries, in Arctic region, nobody can deny. So, it is not some sort of a luxury, it becomes then the essential step for surviving, one essential step for surviving. So, heat exchanger plays that important role. In each of these categories, again there are different type of heat exchanger, and we will see slowly what are the different type of heat exchangers, etc. So, let us get familiarized with different demands and different kind of heat exchanger which can meet the demand. Industrial application, already I have mentioned power generation. This could be fossil fuel power like your coal or oil, or it could be nuclear, it could be renewable, whatever may it be, there will be large number of very unique heat exchangers. Refrigeration, air conditioning and cryogenics, notionally they indicate generation of low temperature. So, in all these cases we need to have heat exchanger of various designs. In fact, some sort of a cryogenic plant, the performance of cryogenics plant, the energy utilization in a cryogenic plant is so much dependent on heat exchanger that I mean a plant cannot be designed properly, or rather cannot operate properly unless we have designed and selected heat exchangers correctly and operated them very efficiently. Petroleum refinery, petrochemicals, chemical process industries, again these are the main places where number of heat exchangers are used. Very unique heat exchangers are used. Some of the heat exchangers which has been evolved for this type of process requirement only. So, again this is one important user of heat exchangers. Metallurgy and material processing, I have already mentioned that some sort of material property that we can get only by some temperature control. So, again cooling is very important, sometimes heating is very important, and that can be done with the help of heat exchangers. Electronic component cooling, this has again cursorily I have mentioned somewhere, but this has become very, very important. The next generation of computational power, we can acquire this only by a good thermal management of the electronic components, and that can be done with the help of heat exchangers. Efficient heat exchangers, compact heat exchangers, and obviously the cost should also be low, the maintainability should be high, and all the other aspects which one can expect from a good industrial component. So, electronic component cooling are needed not only for computation, but also for other purposes, and for that good heat exchangers are needed. There are many other topics which we can mention under the industrial application of heat exchanger, but here I like to impress upon you by showing the vastness of heat exchanger, the range which it covers. So, this range could be many, that means the temperature range it covers. There could be from cryogenic temperature to very high temperature and the size it covers. the material range it covers, starting from graphite or ceramic to paper. But here I just like to impress upon you regarding the size it covers. So, on the left hand side there is a chemical sample cooler. You can see the dimension of most important dimensions have been given here, all are in the range of inch, etc. So, you can imagine that what could be the size of a sample cooler, which is nothing but a heat exchanger. On the right hand side, okay, left hand side the heat exchanger is there, that is an indirect contact heat exchanger. Maybe two liquids or a gas and a liquid are the component here. On the right hand side we have got a hybrid cooling tower. Now, in a power plant the most visible thing from a distance is its chimney, but probably the next visible thing are the row of cooling tower which are there in a power plant, which are essential to a power plant. So, why it is so prominent? Because of its size, so that you can have some idea. So, here what is shown, a hybrid cooling tower which is a combination of forced draft and induced draft, forced draft and natural draft. So, what one can find, so this is actually is not a finished one. So, here there are number of fans will come, and this height, this chimney height provides some sort of natural draft. This is not finished one, but you can see the size comparing, though no dimension has been given, but here some people and cars are visible. So, you can see, you can have some imagination that what could be the size of this heat exchanger. So, there is so much of variation in size of a heat exchanger, very small to very big. So, obviously, you can understand that what is the challenge in designing or analyzing this kind of heat exchanger. So, left hand side we are seeing one very small indirect type heat exchanger, right hand side we are seeing a very large heat exchanger which is a direct contact type heat exchanger, and construction material left hand side if you see it is metal, right hand side it is concrete, and again we will see that this cooling tower, if we discuss, if we get time to discuss all these things, we will find that it depends, or it is a combined equipment for heat transfer and mass transfer. So, there are many things which are very important and at the same time interesting in the discussion of heat exchanger. Health service application, there could be many things. I have just named a few: heart lung machine for cardiac surgery, for dialysis, the system, mechanical system which is used, that needs heat exchanger. Preservation of cell, tissues, bloods, etc. we have to create low temperature. Without heat exchanger that is not possible. Then ICU. ICU we have to maintain some sort of a condition, temperature condition is very important, and then incubator. Premature babies are born before their scheduled date of birth. These babies are to be nurtured in some artificial environment, in some built climate, and for that there are incubator. Temperature control is very important. Okay. Continuous monitoring of temperature is very important. So, heat exchanger plays a important role. Then for treatment, so these are some sort of peripheral thing, but let us think of some treatment. Let us say hypothermia. Hypothermia is a method of cancer treatment, treatment of tumor, cancer, etc. And there we need high temperature, and obviously in the total mechanical system we have got heat exchanger. And then cryosurgery, here by ultra low temperature we are doing some certain surgery, bloodless surgery, etc. And here also we need heat exchanger to have this kind of a system. Just one example I have shown here, This is the circuit for cardiopulmonary bypass surgery, and you can see that there are different components, but there is one heat exchanger. There is one heat exchanger. There is one heat exchanger over here, and actually the blood is to be heated or cooled depending on, because this is how the body temperature of the patient that can be also controlled, and that is why we need a very good heat exchanger. These are unique kind of heat exchanger which are used. So, I can remind the engineers who are involved in the design of heat exchanger the great responsibility which lies on their shoulder. So, starting from industrial requirement, where we have to be really cautious that we should not waste the precious energy which we are getting from fossil fuel. We should not degrade the environment in which we are living, and to the life of a patient that is also dependent on heat exchanger, and so how it should be designed so that it can cater to the need, it can satisfy the need of such a varying nature. It can be maintained properly, it can be of low cost, it can be of high reliability. So, all these are attributes, and when this kind of variety of applications are there, then you can understand the challenge. So, let us proceed. In domestic application, of course, compared to industrial need of heat exchanger, that is less, but that is not less important. So, comfort, and at some point I have told that is also some sort of life saving device in cold countries or very hot countries. So, the human comfort or human livability has to be satisfied, that we do by air conditioning, room heating, basically HVAC, and lot of heat exchangers have to be used. Then cooking and food preservation. It is difficult to get household where there is there is no refrigerator. So, obviously, we have to have heat exchangers in the refrigerator, and design or analysis of heat exchanger is very important. One cooking device is shown in this diagram. This is a double steamer. So, basically what we do for cooking certain food, we need uniform temperature and we need some control temperature. So, it cannot be put on direct flame. So, here we can see there are two pots. In the external pot, outer pot, there is water, water will boil and it will maintain a certain temperature, let us say it will maintain 100 degrees Celsius. Then the food can that will be inside surrounded by this boiling water. So, food can will have a lot of again liquid etc. So, basically this is heat transfer between two liquids through this wall. So, this is kind of a special indirect heat exchanger. So, we can understand how versatile is this component, that is heat exchanger. Let me give some example from biological domain. Thermoregulation is one of the prime requirements of higher animals. Higher animals, they try to maintain the same temperature of the body irrespective of our level of activity, because we know that for higher level of activity we need higher amount of metabolic energy production. If metabolic energy production is high, then the heat which has to be dissipated from the body, that should also be high. But the heat which has to be dissipated from the body, that does not depend solely on the organism or solely on the living being, but also it depends on the environment condition, because Q is proportional to delta T. And this environmental condition, environmental temperature particularly, it varies a lot. Think of a desert region where Easily the temperature could be close to 50 degrees Celsius to the Arctic region, where it is several degrees below the freezing point. And a human being has to maintain a constant temperature, constant body temperature in all this climate. So, how it is done? There are very large number of mechanisms. There are some main mechanisms, of course, and there are other minor mechanisms. Basically, using these mechanisms, not only human beings, higher animals, mammals, etc., they maintain their body temperature. Many a time our body is compared to a heat engine, but often it is not told that our body is a perfect thermostat. So, to make it function as a perfect thermostat, which will operate, keep the body as a constant temperature, many mechanisms are there, like sweating, etc. This is not the place to discuss all these things, but counter current heat exchange, as it is done in heat exchanger, that is also one of the principles. This is usually done by exchanging heat between arterial and venous blood flowing in opposite direction with a temperature difference. And these bloods, they passes through tubular type of structure. So, two streams are there and these streams are having temperature difference, but the nature has understood in its own way that if they flow in opposite direction, large amount of heat or can be transferred, or heat can be transferred in more effective way. So, there are many examples. There are examples for cold weather, there are examples for hot weather. So, let me give one example. Reindeers, they are in the Arctic region, they are acclimatized to withstand cold temperature, low temperature, but suppose there is some sort of a hot condition in which they have to survive. Now, when the outside temperature is high or your body is generating more heat due to some sort of action. So, what happens? The brain, that is very vulnerable, because the temperature of the brain, it should be maintained and it should be maintained slightly below the other temperature, several degrees below the other temperature of the body. So, what is done here? You can see this is the arterial blood which is coming, it will also go to the brain and it is going to the brain, and this is the venous blood which is returning back. Now, when it is returning back, part of it goes through the nasal region of the reindeer, where there is cooling of blood due to some sort of respiratory effect. So, this cold blood that is taken here, which is called carotid rete, that is basically a typical structure where the hot blood will be inside and there will be very small number of vessels, cold blood will be passing through this. So, the blood, hot blood, before going to the brain, it will get cooled, and the principle is exactly similar. Two things are there. It is similar to counter current heat exchanger, and again, as I have told, that compact heat exchanger, here large number of vessels are there to increase the exchange area. So, the concept of compact heat exchanger, it not only came to the fertile brain of human being, it is also some invention of nature from its own experience. So, this is for cooling the blood, sometimes for heating the blood this is needed. So, there are many birds who are in the Arctic region and their leg has to be protected from frostbite. So, there the blood is to be heated, not to be cooled, or the body part is to be heated, and that is done again by similar type of arrangement by counter current heat exchange between the two streams of blood. Now, we go to the classification of heat exchanger. This again I have mentioned here the source, that I have taken it from the design of R.K. Shah, from the book Fundamentals of Heat Exchanger Design by R.K. Shah and P. Sekulik. This is one of the very important book. Time to time we will refer this book, and this reference has also been given for the course as a textbook. Now, the classification can be done based on different categories. So, classification according to transfer process is one important way of classification, and this is what we like to show here. Let us say so, classification according to transfer process, this is very important. So, this is transfer process, how the heat transfer is taking place, based on that we are doing the classification. So, first one is indirect transfer, indirect contact type. That means, the two streams, they are not touching each other, okay? They are not mixing with each other, and most of the heat exchanger are of this category, already I have mentioned it. So, what could be the different heat exchanger in this category? Direct transfer type, that means single phase and multi-phase. Multi-phase means where your boiling or condensation will take place. And storage type. What is direct transfer type? Directly from one stream to another stream, it is getting transferred. Of course, in between there is a solid phase, solid wall. So, this is direct transfer. So, there is no storage of it, and it could be single phase, that means two fluids, they are in the either both of them, they are not changing their phase, or one of them, or in some very rare situation both of them are changing their phase. So, condensation, boiling, etc., that is your multi-phase. Then storage type. So, this also I have explained that one stream is giving thermal energy to some sort of a intermediate medium, where temporarily thermal energy is getting stored, and then that stored energy is transferred to the another fluid. So, that is your storage type. Then your fluidized bed. So, fluidized bed, probably next class I will show some figure of this heat exchanger. So, there will be particulate solid, and particulate solid, through particulate solid gas is passing. So, there will be certain amount of energy exchange between the particulate solid and the gas, and again from the particulate solid to another fluid which will pass through some sort of a tube. So, this is a typical kind of heat exchanger, but in none of these cases two heat exchanging fluids are mixing with each other. So, this is your indirect contact type. Then we have got direct contact type, where the two fluid streams are coming in contact with each other. There are limitations, not all the heat exchanger can be designed like this. If there are two liquid streams which are immiscible, we can go for direct contact type of heat exchanger. If gas, one of them is gas and another is liquid, we can go for direct contact type heat exchanger. And let us say liquid and vapor, let us say steam and water, we want to exchange heat between them. So, we can have again direct contact type of heat exchanger. So, these are the three possibilities in general where we can have direct contact type heat exchanger. So, there are very important heat exchanger in this category, though less in number. In power generation and in other places we will find that there are direct contact type heat exchanger, and for their obvious advantage we use direct contact type heat exchanger. There are other classification, we will take up them in our next class, and from this classification also we will try to elaborate certain thing in our next class. Up to this let us have for the present class. Again, I will request you, if you have got any queries, please interact in the forum and we will try to clarify it.